Hi, this is Mark Skills from www.alternativeinvestmentsinfo.com, and I would like to talk to you this morning about why investing in teak forestry is such a great investment. Investing in teak forestry is not an asset class that is ever mentioned by the financial press or written about in financial magazines. This I find very puzzling, as there are a number of very compelling reasons why teak should be included in your portfolio. Institutional investors have increased their investments in forestry, including teak, from a mere $1 billion in 1985 to over $65 billion in 2009. Major pension providers have started to allocate assets to forestry as part of their portfolio diversification strategy. Analysis undertaken by Credit Suisse showed that the returns generated over this period were between 14 and 15% per annum. Global alternative investments research consultant Mercer, who advise many clients on over $300 billion of non-traditional investments, still see teak forestry as an ideal investment for institutional investors. It was noted that these returns were achievable at a modest level of risk. The legal system in these forestry countries protected investors' property rights under legislation that was drawn up by the World Bank over 50 years ago. The Sharpe ratio, measuring return divided by risk, was highest for teak. This signifies that teak provide the best risk-return trade-off of all asset classes. The greatest reason for high-level returns is that biological growth of trees generates 61% of the return on teak forestry investments. This is a great hedge against financial volatility in more traditional financial markets. Research by the National Council of Real Estate Investment Fiduciaries reported that over a 10-year period, the return from forestry outperformed the S&P 500. With annual returns of 9.9%, timber has outperformed property, stocks, commodities and bonds for the last 30 years. The value of wood on the stump has risen by 3% above inflation every year over the last century. The clamping down on illegal teak forestry, which has already cost the world 50% of its ancient forests, will increase the demand for ethically grown, sustainable teak. This clamping down on illegal logging in the short term will reduce supplies of teak. With a growing world population and new markets opening up for high quality hardwoods, demand is continuing to grow, which will continue to push up the prices of teak over the next few years. Teak prices have grown on average by 7.9% a year between 1970 and the year 2000, and by 9.9% a year in the last 10 years. Timber returns are uncorrelated with all other investments and is invaluable as a portfolio diversifier and risk reducer. Teak can now be invested in via a personal pension and is a great way of diversifying your portfolio and reducing the risk of volatility within your pension. If prices are low, you can keep teak in the ground until prices improve. Teak investment is great for the environment. 1 hectare of teak forest over 16 years will consume 320 tonnes of CO2. An average person in the Western world produces 160 tonnes in the same period. By buying 1 hectare of teak, a couple can be carbon neutral for 16 years. A great way to offset your carbon footprint. In summary, teak forestry is one of the best asset classes you can invest in. The financial institutions know it, and now you do. It is the best investment for improving your long-term financial welfare, whilst also helping protect the planet. To me, that makes it the perfect investment. Want to know more? Visit alternativeinvestmentsinfo.com for your free alternative investments report.